Hello YouTube, Louie here, and welcome to the weekend. I'm glad we made it. Stick around, this is going to be a cool video. We're going to go through a box of random silver that I'm still organizing. We'll talk a little bit about the economy. Yeah, that's my 25-pound bag of flour, which my wife scored the other day. And also to remind you, there is going to be a giveaway today. This beautiful Silver Eagle, 2018 Silver Eagle, has been offered by the Silver Forum to the members of the community, and they're the sponsor of this video. I want to thank them for everything that they've done, and encourage you to get over to their website and check out their great free content and also some of their other content as well. But thank you, Silver Forum. I'll tell you how to win this Silver Eagle somewhere in this video, but let's get on with the show. All right, so let's get going. As I go through this box of silver, I want to talk a little bit about the economy, the virus, the silver market, and to just kind of recap what my thoughts are right now, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are as well. But let's get going. First, on the economy. You know, for a long time there, everybody was saying this is going to be a V-shaped recovery. And of course, it seems like the consensus now is that it will not be a V-shaped recovery. So I'm not sure what you're expecting, you know, a V or a U or an L, or maybe just a toboggan ride straight down, right? It could be that as well. But as I look at what's going on, you know, I do not think we're looking for anything like a quick recovery. In fact, I think if you look at business all over, if you're following what's happening in the business world, you'll see that, of course, there have been layoffs like we have never seen before. And you know, a good half of those, maybe even more than half, are permanent layoffs. They are not expecting to hire everybody right back. And of course, you've got your $1,200, you know, so yeah, go wild with that. But as usual, we are bailing out the big corporations that frivolously took the cheap money, bought their own stock back, reduced the number of shares outstanding, and artificially inflated their earnings per share. And on their side, now they've used up all their cash, and they're not sure how they're going to survive the downturn. Because, you know, spending habits can't be the same as they were before this event. People are hunkering down. People are, you know, if you have lost your job, you may be out of work for a few weeks or maybe even a few months. People that don't have the income anymore are definitely going to have trouble paying their rent. They're going to have trouble paying their credit cards. They're going to have trouble paying their auto loans. All these industries are being affected. I heard a couple days ago that the last auction for used automobiles was bringing 10 to 20% lower prices for the glut in you know, in the auto market. Of course, that's going to affect the people that make cars. All right, and the same thing in real estate. If you were one of these high-flying real estate guys that had 10 highly leveraged properties, you know, there is no way that you're going to be getting your rents on time anymore. And for many of these people, you know, it's only going to take about 3 months before the bank is going to come calling on their properties, and it could mean the end for real estate speculators. So just like in the big corporations, you know, the average American is pretty highly leveraged. And this is gonna really harken back to 10 or 12 years ago, where a lot of people you knew, and hopefully not you, but maybe, wound up losing their homes. I mean, you know, some people have stretched beyond the margins with a 2-income family and grandma's savings account to stretch into a home. Well, if one or two of those wage earners lose their job for a prolonged period, then that's going to put the real estate market in jeopardy too. And I do expect a downturn in real estate. And not to mention commercial real estate, with the number of cutbacks, so many companies, when they come back, are going to be coming back at 50% capacity or something like that. Many other companies, whether it be restaurants, hotels, airlines, really rely on high, what I'll call occupancy levels, but high usage of their tables or their seats or their hotel rooms or their cabins. A drop from 80% capacity down to 70% capacity can mean the difference between profits and losses. And we're talking about a whole new kind of America where, the return to normalcy is going to involve physical distancing. So if you're a restaurant, you're going to only have, you're going to take out potentially half or two-thirds of your tables. If you're an airline, I'm not sure how many seats you have to fly with, and so forth and so on. And many of the people that were furloughed or laid off, 16 million or something, higher than the Great Depression, are not going to come back right away. But you will have some benefits. I mean, there are some benefits, but they're not enough to keep the economy rolling at the old levels. So I know we've had a tremendous rebound here in the stock market, but I can't see how the earnings will be there to support the old valuations. And that's why I'm, predicting, as I have been, another drop, another leg down to the old lows and beyond. Because right now, we've had some rallies, and the last one was kind of a euphoria rally, not around the financial situation, but around the virus. There's been some good news on the virus, and I think we are coming to grips with how we may return to work in a somewhat safe way. But not everybody's going to return to work. I mean, that's the deal. Even if the outbreak has been lesser than we predicted, and it has. I think we based way too much off Italy and New York in terms of our predictions. But this thing is going to be around for a long time. There may be a second wave, and the habits of the consumer and the available income of the consumer are just not going to be there to support the economy at the old levels. And certainly a lot of the froth will be taken off the top. And the cheap money that was available before to the corporations, well, now that they're begging for government money, it's not government money, it's actually your money, it's taxpayer money. You and I are funding the bailout of the 1% once again. Their cash was depleted when they bought all that stock back, and now they have no money for a rainy day, right? And just like a lot of Americans, the same thing. There's no money for a rainy day, which means we have to fall back on the government. But for us, the government doesn't pay very well. We get $1,200 and a pat on the back and told to, go to a football game. So it's just not going to be the same world here for a few months or a few quarters or maybe even a few years. But whether you're happy about how things are going and you're optimistic about the virus, which I think will be with us for a long time, the ongoing results are going to just exaggerate the popping of the bubble that was inflated by foolish government policy. And a lot of the people you worked with before, the old timers that were, you're always glad to be able to talk to them because, they had the history and they knew a couple things. They're all going to check out. And what are they going to be doing? They're going to be trying to take their early retirements to stay safe. They're going to be downsizing, and that trend is already starting. And who in this new economy is going to be ready to buy that big house? Who wants it? Who wants the carrying costs, the utilities, the taxes? I think taxes will be going up. I think we'll have a new administration in November, and likely it will be progressive to, more of the lower end of the spectrum, but highly oppressive to those in the middle class. Okay, the wealthy are wealthy. You know, they've learned how to multiply their money. They've learned how to hedge their risk. They've learned how to get out of the market before, CNBC tells you to. They're going to be just fine. Their stock options are going to get reset. But the middle class will carry the brunt of this calamity for years and years. So I do think the market has to go down. Market is based on valuation. It's not based on happy talk and personalities and unwarranted celebrations and euphoria. Yes, it's okay to feel good about the fact that perhaps not a single person got the COVID. Of course, in my region, we've had a much lesser incidence than I think many people predicted. So here we are. What about silver, gold, platinum? Platinum, I continue to be invested in that, and I like it. I still like it a lot here. I've kept my paper position. It's hard to buy the physical. There is no physical out there to buy. Gold continues to look like a good value here, but could it pull back? Sure, it could. But if you look out 2 years, these hard assets will continue to perform better than the overall market and better than inflation. Most people are predicting deflation to begin. Well, yeah, home prices, oil, still invested in my oil. I was taken out with my trailing stop, so I had a profit on the last oil trade. Now I've bought it back at a lower price. And I think in the long term, we're not going to have $18 oil. We can't have $18 oil in the world. That just means revolution in more than one country. So that's a long-term hold for me. But that shows the deflation. But gold is hanging in there. I do think that silver requires gold to make its move before it can shoot up and past it on a percentage basis. So I still like silver here. Just waiting to get maybe into the 14s to take a bigger paper position and write those covered calls I showed you about the other day. Have not sold anything, and if you do, silver's bringing $20 an ounce, and eagles are bringing 22, 23, maybe 25. So silver is wanted out there. And I do think there will continue to be, although industrial demand will be much lower, I think, there will be investor demand will be much higher, and the production of silver will be has been and will continue to be strongly curtailed. So that's setting up for kind of, a perfect storm. Will it happen? Well, I think gold has to lead the way. And certainly platinum will follow as well, in my opinion. I think it's undervalued. I think silver is undervalued here as well. Even at $14 or $15 or $16. I think 18 may be a little harder resistance to get through. But, eventually we're going to slingshot. But I think gold has to lead the way on that. Back to the economy. I mean, depending on what part of the economy you work in. I mean, I heard a story the other day about a hospital system that was building a hospital, and and these days they don't do that very often. They're quite expensive with all the new regulations. But they had a plan. This is one hospital system to build a new hospital. That hospital was going to cost $1 billion. Well, you know what they did the other day? They put that plan on hold. All right? That's a $1 billion project in one corporation that is X'd for right now. And CapEx spending all over the country is going to be pulled back, unless they're dramatically restructuring their business to a smaller footprint with fewer employees. But think of all the people that work in construction, all the people that are involved in that kind of a project. It's going to have strong repercussions. So I do hope, as I said a month ago or so, I do hope that, your job is secure and you're able to work through this crisis. There are people that are stepping up, and there are people that are stepping back. But be one of the first people to step up, step out of the basement, put on your mask, and get back to work. That's what is going to be important. As again I said way before this crash happened, a job is going to be the thing that's going to sustain us, and hopefully low leverage. Think about how it is that you and or your spouse, stay employed during this downturn. It's just going to be a dramatic downturn. I think there's going to be protectionism. Just the same way that countries are hoarding masks and test kits and whatnot. I do think that there will be a protectionist environment, and all these jobs that are lost, right? All these Americans that are going to be out of work, and it's going to grow every week, right? And even when we start going back to work, it'll shrink a little bit, but there are going to be vast numbers of them. Americans are going to need work projects, and I think the government will potentially, have some of those for some people. But it's going to lead to bringing, isolating our country from other countries. It's going to lead to inflation. So all the money that's been pumped into the system, of course, right now there's a shock, and there will be massive deflation on many fronts. But, it's like stepping on the accelerator. Did you back in the 60s or 70s, did you have, a muscle car with those giant mags on it? And, you had a high ratio, a low ratio on first gear, and you could floor that sucker, and you could spin the wheels for a long time. But eventually those wheels caught and you shot off like a rocket. And that's what's going to happen here is all the additional money in the system is going to find a home at some time. I'm not sure exactly when that will be, when we start kind of pulling out of this. Hopefully it doesn't take a war. But the traction on that money is going to start inflating the prices of things. Bringing some of those jobs back to America is going to be highly inflationary for the cost of everything that we purchase now abroad. And, I think we could see real isolationism going forward that will definitely impact inflation. So I am expecting inflation. I know everybody I know about that has, net worth is talking about how to protect their net worth. Of course, you and I have been talking about that for going on 7 years now. We knew this was coming, right? And hopefully, you're dedicated to stacking and you're not jumping out too early. I think you can trade around the margins of your stack, but I wouldn't jump out too early because there's not much in this world that's going to have a lot of value here in the short term. Not much. It's not going to be your car. It's not going to be that flat screen TV. The cashback loans, the home equity loans and whatnot. Banks are going to be extremely tight, extremely tight. And, so will the credit cards and everything else. So, they start erasing home equity lines when the value of properties drop, right? I mean, the credit is going to disappear on the credit cards, on the home equity lines. And with small loans, of course, if you're a small business, you may have been able to access some of the money that the government has given out, but it won't be enough, and you probably didn't even get it unless somehow you're friends with J.P. Morgan, and then any foolish idea or concept that is associated with, the big banks or the government, that'll get funded fully, right? But chances are, if you run a dry cleaner or a restaurant, you're not going to be able to make it. They're going to be closing up at record numbers because I don't think they can make it back through this hiatus turn. And be glad that you're stacking this stuff, whether it's bullion or collector coins of any element. bullion of any element, I think it will all retain value, and I think it will increase in value. You just have to look at the charts to know that, after a shock, things happen. And this is such a significant shot, not just from the health risks that everyone is experiencing, from the economic risks. Let's hang on for another week. Take it a week at a time, guys. I hope you enjoyed the silver in this video. And now back to the giveaway. All right, again, courtesy of Silver Forum. I hope you'll get over there and check out their website, subscribe, it's free. Enter that 10-ounce Queen's Beast contest they have. And to win this Silver Eagle, all I want you to do is type into the comments Silver Eagle. You can put that in any kind of sentence that you like, and you will be entered probably by tomorrow. Sometime, let's see, that would be Sunday. Sometime Sunday, I will do a random drawing of anyone who, you don't have to be subscribing, but I will ask that you have, at least one subscriber on your channel. Then I will get that Silver Eagle off to you, with one exception. If you're international, just because of the difficulties in shipping international and the cost, I'm going to send you $25 through PayPal if you're international, and then you can buy your own Silver Eagle. I think. But that's the deal. International is going outside of the USA is going to be a $25 giveaway. Inside the USA, I will ship you that beautiful 2018 Silver Eagle. Thanks everybody for tagging along, and hope you enjoyed the video. And I'll be back at you tomorrow, sometime tomorrow, anytime tomorrow, to show you the results and who wins. All right, have a great weekend. Stay safe.